Welcome back to the late day wrap up, of which the latest day of this week, as we are heading into the end of February for the trading month, and that means that we have weekly and monthly closures to prepare for. And with that said, I would like to wish you the best, and the happiest we get into this one. Of course, if you want the more detailed, in-depth information, I can't necessarily say that it's from this morning's video because apparently it's shadow banned or whatever the hell's going on there. But more importantly, with that, you know, a little bit more discombobulated with those live streams, I suppose. But it's all in good fun, so we'll kind of dial it in right here. And with that said, we'll start off with good old Dixie, of which we did see it hit the bottom side target from this week after hitting the top side target of the beginning of this week, right around 91 bucks. Now coming down to the bottom side of the range. It's like a game of fucking ping pong once again. And with that in mind, I would be looking for it to, seeing as it just hit the low of the range, likely pop back up and test the high of the range, of which we're kind of seeing right now. So with that in mind, I do still look at this as short term, likely to put in a little bit more of an upside move here, somewhere just below 91 bucks, but still the range holds. And with that said, have to remember that as long as this one is holding within this region between about 91 to the upside and 89 3/4 to the downside, I look at this as nothing. First and foremost, I would have the interpretation of essentially reaccumulation over a long period of time, but as far as directional biases on other assets, nothing really changes as long as it's stuck within this region right here. Of course, above 91 bucks, especially on a weekly, or just a wick above our last high on this weekly, and yes, I would be looking for a more like a weekly reversal back up to about 92.5 bucks over time, maybe even more, but I would feel or at least I would be looking for a move back up here, and then we'll judge it after that. And that will put downside pressure on price action on everything that trades against the dollar. Doesn't mean that they're all going to go down, of course, but on the whole, there will be more. It will be more difficult for them to go up, and the weaker ones likely do falter, and the strong ones, we'll just kind of have to see, I suppose. Of course, if it does break to the downside, which looking at the reaction and all these wicks within this region, probably unlikely, at least in my opinion. Then I would be looking for upside pressure on just about everything that trades against the US dollar. It's going to be a little bit easier for the shit to continue to rally as they have been over the past, for the past few years, really. Anyways, with that said, short term, a little bit of upside, but again, still kind of settling within this region. And I imagine that this is all set up for the monthly, which is to close again later today. And as it stands right now, this is not really giving us too much. Yes, it is one long-legged doji dildo, which is a signal of indecision, perhaps even reversal. But in this case, what would reversal be? It would actually be reversal to the upside. So in these sorts of matters, it does actually offer up a bit of an edge here, because you can look at a long-legged doji dildo as a continuation point on both sides, essentially. So both to the upside and the downside on the high or low of this wick coming into next month, assuming that it closes somewhere like this, which I imagine it probably will be another sort of breakout trade, very, very likely. So I would feel quite confident saying that in March we do see this range broken, and if it does break to the upside, I'd be looking for a rather quick move to about 92.5 at the very least, and then reassess after that. And to the downside, I would be looking for a move all the way down to about 88 bucks, which is going to be fucking catastrophic for the US dollar, and I really hope that doesn't happen for my poor dollar versus euro conversions living over here in Finland. So into the other charts we go, starting off with NASDAQ now, and NAS is actually coming down after coughing up the short-term bounce off of our lower end of this region. Just want to make sure that my phone's actually working. Okay, good. Nice one. We're on Twitch right now, by the way. And so far, the bounce actually kind of failing, coming back down to the lower edge of this region. And of course, this is all set up again for the next week and next month to come. Short term, is this more bearishly implied? Well, yes. I mean, we do have quite literally a downtrend trend right here, but more importantly, this is going to have major implications coming into March, as we do see this is one massive shooting star dildo, indicative of distribution at the top, of which I would say that the shorter term timeframes do start to confirm that. And more importantly, if it ends anything like this at end of day, or especially even lower, then I would be looking for March to likely trade back down below 12,000 bucks, maybe even lower than that over time. But I would feel quite confident looking at least for that move. Same thing on SPY as well, although not as bad, to be fair. But if SPY does end the day, especially below 3750-ish region, which is only about 40 bucks away right now, I would look at this as very likely into March to come down into like the 3550-ish territory, maybe even all the way down to 3500 even, and then we'll come back to it after that. Now, of course, these are more long-term moves, and to go down to the daily right now, we are kind of resting on short-term support. So is the monthly look relevant to like the very low-term timeframes, like an hourly? No, not really, although this is actually just looking like continuation as well. So they're all kind of in alignment right now with that in mind. It's looking pretty nasty here, to be fair. Anyways, I don't really like shorting into an area like this, but the setup is there for March, and I probably would be looking for the next bounce to likely fail. And the next sort of targeted region, like I said, is somewhere down around about 3,700-ish. And then in the higher term timeframes, that can be extended to about 3,500, again, depending upon the monthly close. Obviously, we don't have that information just yet, just a few hours away, about 6.5 hours actually. So a little bit more left to go, but this, again, it's not looking too good. Gold following our downside buys here too. I was looking for this move to happen in March, but fair enough. Gonna give it to you right now. It looks like I'd be looking for this one to stab down towards about 1,700-ish region, maybe even a little bit below there, as this one does put in its continuation phase off of last week's low, below the 55 exponential average right here. We've been bearish on this. Or I mean, technically I've been bearish on this one ever since 1850 right here, but I never really felt too compelled to take that trade. Not that I trade this one, but I wouldn't have taken this trade myself. And now I feel so silly for saying that, because it's like, it's always obvious in hindsight, but the general disposition here was hey, this is bearish as long as below 1850-ish region, and now you're just kind of slowly seeing it slide down the stripper pole. And where does this one stop? Again, I'd be looking for a bounce just below 1700, somewhere around 1680 to 1690-ish region, and then we'll come back to it after that and reassess. But momentum oscillators are all beat to shit up here, except for the fact that they all have plenty more room to go, to be fair, on the weekly. Looking at the weekly, Joule did give a continuation sell signal right here in middle of January, actually. So that was that was actually the tell, yeah, this area right here, actually. So hey, nice, not bad. Weekly Stochs doing the same thing. Weekly RSI just testing the edge of the bearish control zone for the first time in literally 3 years, since October 2018. So this one is looking a lot more bearishly implied. Especially over the long period of time. This is looking a lot more like distribution as far as the RSI signature goes. Anyways, back into it over here. Let's go check out, do you want to go check out Dow Jones? A lot of people have been asking me, like, why don't I look at Dow Jones? The reason is because I just don't want to check like a million goddamn tickers. And for the most part, it's going to trade very similarly to SPY futures and in NASDAQ futures. The reason why I picked those two ones specifically is because they typically have a stronger correlation with Bitcoin, which is typically what this channel is kind of, focusing on, although we definitely look around the whole sphere. So with that said, let's go check out, I suppose, Bitcoin now, as Bitcoin is doing it looks very, 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 very similar to NASDAQ on the shorter term timeframes, except we got the bounce of the gods going on right now. And I feel really fucking dumb for this one too, because just like we spoke about on this morning's live stream, I did trade off of the bottom edge blue box, which was right around 40. I didn't get like the actual low on this one, but about 45,000 bucks right here. And then I let my position go at about 46,500-ish region, looking at NASDAQ, thinking that Bitcoin was going to come back down with it. But with that in mind, we do actually have regular bullish divergence for the first time in a while, coming off the lows right now. I'd say that this one's extremely likely to be confirmed. Technically speaking, it hasn't been confirmed just yet, because you want to see closures, but in 11 minutes, that will be certainly confirmed. And I'll be looking for extension all the way up to about 48,500 to maybe even 49,000 bucks. And at that point, probably short-term pullback, and then, game on once again. But here's the thing, we can still use the same zones as we used on the way down, on the way up. So this 48,500-ish pivot right here, if that area is broken, especially on a 4-hour, could you use a 2-hour as well? Yeah, I would say that you could use a 2-hour here. It does seem to be working quite well. Then I would extend that move back up towards about just above 50,000 bucks. But it's all kind of fraught with peril within this region right here, because as long as Bitcoin's below 51,000 bucks, you do still have your downtrend in place. You still do have lower highs in place, and that is, well, obviously concerning if you want to be bullish on this asset. Here's the thing, though. Here's what I'd say about this. That also means on the other side, if Bitcoin does get back above 51,000 bucks, take out this local high right here, or even just wick above our current high of yesterday, which was 52,151.5 on Mexico, then I'd be looking for a big extension somewhere between about 54 to 55,000 bucks. Anywhere around here would be good. I'll actually mark it off right here. Let's just do something like this, and let's get me my blue box of peace and prosperity to the upside here. So we have one to the downside and one to the upside. Of course, above this area right here, I would be bullish for new all-time highs very likely again, but I think that that's well and far away. So just like this area over here, likely to bounce on the first pass, I'd probably be looking for a sell-off on this area here if Bitcoin were to get on the first pass as well. Does this happen over the weekend or not? Who the fuck knows? Usually weekend is a little bit of contra-weak directions, which in this case actually would be to the upside, to be fair. So with all of that said, still the same implications for the downside. If Bitcoin does break $45,000 on a daily closure, or 44,000, what was it, 300? 44,300 on a 4-hour closure, then I would be looking for the next big leg down to occur. We're talking about a 10+% move, probably like 13 to 15% more, like somewhere down around $39,000 to $40,000 where I'd be looking towards. Very likely a bounce there, and then I want to see it in real time in order to kind of judge the next sort of implications of it. But for right now, it does look a little bit short-term upside here, and I would be looking for a short-term move somewhere back around about $48,500 to $49,000. I think very, very likely, playing out that 4-hour bullish divergence, and then we'll come back to it tomorrow, see what's up. And with that said, I want to wish you the best going into this nice weekend here. It's been a really, really fun month bringing back the live streams and having all the good, fun antics. So just want to say massive thank you for that, because it's been rather special, and hopefully you've been having a good time as well. Anyways, we'll be back with the live streams on Monday again. We will not do them over the weekends because I want to go binge eat at a buffet because they're going to be closing down for the next month soon enough. So I'll be doing that, going into all my fucking greedy behaviors. And with that said, I'd like to salute you once again. Take care, and until next time.